Santa is actually a image of Satan.
Huh?
In the words of like Illuminati. Okay, I'm not saying I believe in this shit.
Yeah.
Like this is a reach for me, but like
Yeah.
Santa, if you reorganize the letters, what does it spell?
Yo,
It spells Satan, bro.
no, nah.
Alright. What's the color of the devil?
Nah.
The color of the devil is red.
No, bro.
Alright. What is the devil attached to? Greed,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And what is Christmas attached to? Having lots of things, having lots of, whether it be toys, whether it be like gifts, like you want to have a lot of something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Christmas, no doubt was originally the celebration of Christ.
Yeah.
No doubt, right? But the theory is that the Illuminati wants to separate that idea that Christmas is part of Christ. Cause look at it now, bro. Like Christmas before, it used to be the nativity scene, baby Jesus in the manger, right?
Yeah.
But now look at it. It's all Santa Claus wearing red, Santa Claus giving gifts, this and that, Christmas tree, snowflake, whatever, right?
That's all it is now, yo.
That's all it is now.
Commercialized.
Like, it's so commercialized, right?
Yeah.
The plan of this is the theory.
Yeah.
The plan of the Illuminati was detach Christ from Christmas and make it this thing that just makes everybody buy stuff.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense, right?
But like, yo, the fact that you said, yo, mix around the words for Santa, and then I was like, oh shit.
Like, how do you spell Santa?
Yeah.
Santa.
No.
Mix it around.
Bruh.
This is my pet octopus named Sashimi, and this is a vault filled with all her favorite food. The only problem is, in order to get to this vault, she'll have to rely on her incredible intelligence and dexterity to make it all the way through this 9-part underwater obstacle course. And just like when I made my backyard obstacle course for squirrels, out of the gate I will admit in hindsight, I completely underestimated the capabilities of this remarkable creature. But to understand how we even ended up at this spot, we need to go back in time 6 months when I decided to get a pet octopus to see for myself if they were really as smart as people say they are. And after bringing her home to Crunch Labs and putting her into a saltwater optimized and appropriately decorated tank, she made herself right at home. And the first thing that stood out is just how curious they are. For example, when you put anything into the tank, including your arm, they immediately swim towards it and just want to interact. I will cover this in a minute, but beyond just being able to really securely latch onto things like my hand, she's so strong! Oh my god! Her suckers are also gathering information about me, like my smell, taste, and color. And so after just a few weeks, given how playful she is, it's hard not to form a quick bond. For example, she loved to go up and wave her tentacles in the jet stream, which I assume is the octopus equivalent of a dog sticking its head out a car window. She could play catch with us, she had a propensity for selfies anytime she saw a camera, and whenever we'd put a toy submersible in her tank, she would go full 20,000 leagues under the sea. And as I did more research, I learned that for the 100 million octopi every year us humans put on a dinner plate or in a pet store, basically all are born and originally raised in the ocean, meaning they aren't bred in captivity, which is when I was hit with the startling realization that essentially made me the bad guy in Finding Nemo. And since no one wants to be the bad guy in Finding Nemo, as much as we'd already come to love sashimi here at Crunch Labs, I did some investigating and found out from the pet store we got her from the exact spot they pulled her out of the ocean. The only problem with my plan of returning her was she'd been hand-fed now for quite some time. So the idea was that if she could figure out and remember how to solve an obstacle course maze, then I would be assured that she could figure out and remember her early days hunting in the ocean, and we could send her back home with confidence. Phase 1 of the plan was to give her some challenges and then observe her behavior to understand what capabilities she actually had. And as it turns out, it's a lot. For starters, their ability to color and shapeshift is unmatched in the animal kingdom. For example, can you spot the octopus hiding in plain sight right here? And the only thing more impressive than that is when you slow it down and play it in reverse to see just how quickly and convincingly these changes occur. And it's not just camouflage as a form of protection, they can also mimic the shape of larger, more predatory animals like eels. And as Sashimi shows here, and you can see here, they've even come up with some pretty creative ways to scoot themselves around. And on top of that, there's stories from octopus researchers where they will recognize and shoot water at only one specific person anytime they walk by the tank. And they'll still recognize that person even if they switch clothes with other people. Or there's other stories where the octopus will repeatedly shoot water jets at the light switch to turn off the lights in the room. It's also not uncommon for them to escape their tanks at night to better map out the room they're being stored in, or to even raid the other tanks for food, only to return to their tank in the morning like nothing in the morning like nothing ever happened. And after a month or two of observation, once we had really come to understand each other, we had all the data we needed to enter phase 2. So after a lot of brainstorming, CAD, 3D printing, and laser cutting, we eventually landed here, starting at the conclusion of the 9-part obstacle course with the Golden Vault. If she can figure out how to unscrew the vault door, well then she's earned the 3 pounds of her favorite food, shrimp, contained therein. And the reason we know it's her favorite food is because over the course of a week, we prepared an underwater seafood buffet with 4 different food options. And all 4 times we repeated the experiment, the aroma from the shrimp was consistently the most irresistible. But in order to earn that succulent reward, she's got her work cut out for her, starting back at the beginning with challenge number 1, the over-under. If she finds a way to get under this barrier through these rocks, well then she's got to find a way to get over this barrier through these floating balls. And if she manages that, then it's through the green circular portal where she'll find herself face to face with this 4-panel revolving door. And if she works out how revolving doors work and makes it through the next green portal, well then Sashimi will basically be met by a wall. And at this point it's game over, unless she correctly deduces that by pushing this block out, she could pass through the corridor and continue her journey upwards to the ball drop. And this is where things level up a notch, because dexterity becomes much more critical. In this case, she has to grab this lever and rotate it in this slot, which will allow it to fall down with the balls trailing behind, clearing up the pathway upwards through the tube. But then once she swims up the tube, she'll be trapped, because the porthole out is blocked by this red gate. That is unless she figures out how to hit the emergency exit button, which will push this glass counterweight ball down off the edge, thereby pulling the gate up and allowing entry into perhaps my favorite obstacle, the fish out of water. Because here, the only way for Sashimi to continue her progress would be to flex her ability to comfortably live on land for up to an hour by crawling out of the water, up, over, and back down on the other side, where after passing through the portal, she gets a bit of a power-up, because on the backside of the snorkeling Fat Gus is a shrimp. Now this is a bit of a throwback to the tourist trap on the squirrel maze, where a strategically placed snack led to a timely photo op. But in this case I call it the Medusa, because the hope is that as she eats the shrimp with her beak on the underside of where her legs all come together, it will look like Fat Gus has 8 braids of beautiful flowing hair. And now that she's feeling refreshed, Sashimi can hopefully finish strong with the penultimate challenge, which is sort of a double obstacle, because there are 6 holes in the top ranging from small to really small. And if she takes the easy route by squeezing through the least small hole, well then she has a lot more maze to deal with, as opposed to the smallest hole that puts her right at the finish. Either way, at this point she's made it here, and if she solves the final puzzle by unscrewing the vault door, she's not only earned the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet, but she's proven she's quick enough on her tentacles to handle being returned back to her ocean home to the very tight pools she was raised in. So with everything in place, all that was left to do was open this ball valve. And as the smell of fresh shrimp made its way to her tank, she made her way down the tube like an 8-legged gladiator to her saltwater coliseum. So while we wait for her to make that 40-second trek, this is the perfect time to mention that if you want a Christmas morning reaction like this, or this, or this, then a CrunchLabs Build Box subscription is the answer, because with the Build Box, not only do you get a super fun toy that you get to put together every month, but you do it alongside me while I teach you all the incredible physics behind how it works. We're right there in the trenches, building, learning, and succeeding together, so the principles really sink in. So if you're a kid and you're looking for something to put at the top of your Christmas list, or you're just looking to be the household hero by giving it to someone else, use the link in the video description or head to crunchlabs.com, where we're giving away 2 free boxes as our holiday special. Now back to Sashimi. After making it into the main tank, then sort of exploring the borders of the maze for a bit, she made her way inside fairly quickly, but then sort of just chilled. Like she really didn't understand what she was supposed to do next. But since you can only ignore the ambrosial smell of raw fresh shrimp for so long, she eventually got curious and started exploring. And one of the first things we observed is that anytime she's in a new environment, she kind of maps things out by walking around, gathering data with her arms, as opposed to just swimming around freely through the middle. And soon enough, she had things figured out. Now, admittedly, this first challenge was a bit of a softball, because having observed Sashimi in her home tank, I knew she was good at digging and burrowing herself in the sand, using the water propulsion from her siphon tube to clear the rocks away. The floating balls were even less of a challenge for her, and after making it through, you really get a sense of how much she sends out her arms as scouts to gather critical information. Especially in the wild, they can reach their arms around and inside crevices, not only to smell and taste, but as we'll cover in a minute, even see and independently think. So obstacle 1 was pretty straightforward, but figuring out how to operate a revolving door would be a much harder test. Wow. Okay, I see how this is gonna be. This was my first real indicator that we were headed for a real battle of wits. It was a similar feeling to when the squirrels eventually outsmarted my rope bridge of instability by just jumping over it altogether. And I really should have seen this coming, because as you can see in this video of an octopus escaping from a ship, as long as an opening is bigger than their beak, which is the only actual hard part of their body, then they can eventually squeeze through it. In fact, if we roll that back, you can see Sashimi's beak, or mouth, right here. And while this part looks like a big nose, that's actually their main body, where all their vital organs reside, like their brain, stomach, gills, kidneys, ink sac, siphon, and their 3 hearts. 2 other cool facts about octopi is their blood is blue because it's copper-based, since that's more efficient in cold, low-oxygen environments. And if they lose an arm, they can regrow it completely, and it will look indistinguishable from the original. Next up was the block push. Once again, she got to this point and was sort of stumped without an obvious path forward. But this is where their natural curiosity pays off, because she's not just feeling surfaces with her arms, but also constantly pulling and pushing to see what she can interact with. And so sort of by default, she figured out this red part of the wall doesn't push back as hard, which cleared the way up to the the ball drop. And I knew this one would be tough for her because number one, there's not enough room for her to just squeeze by, and number two, pushing and pulling on walls wasn't gonna solve it either. And after struggling in vain to find out what she was supposed to do for quite some time, eventually she got frustrated and just stopped and sat there, almost like she was processing all the data she just gathered. And this was the moment I knew for sure I was in over my head. Because while basically maintaining eye contact with me as a flex, she reaches up with one arm and then twists the bar, which dislodges the ball, allowing her to clear them out and move on. And this feels like the perfect moment to tell you that my absolute favorite fact about the octopus is that they are truly the closest thing we have to intelligent alien life on this planet. And here's what I mean by that. This is a very simplified version of a tree of life. These kind of diagrams show you how all life is related and what evolved from what. How do we know this? Well, by being true scientific detectives and looking for clues. For example, a few hundred years ago, scientists noticed that us humans have 7 vertebrae in our necks, but so do giraffes. But wait a sec, so do whales, mice, elephants, lions, horses, and bats. So that's a clue they all share a common ancestor and belong to this group called mammals. And it's not just neck bones. Watch what happens if you compare the arm bone configurations of a human to a bat, to a chicken, to a turtle, to a dolphin. It's wild what tiny beneficial mutations and millions of generations can produce. And of course, with genome sequencing developing over the last 40 years, it's allowed us to compare the DNA of different species and sort of check our answers in the back of the book. Anyways, using these techniques, if you want to see where our lineage broke off from that of octopi in the Tree of Life, you have to go back over 500 million years ago to a simple flatworm. But if you look closely, all of what we think of as the smart animals are over here on this side of the Tree of Life, including dolphins, dogs, pigs, horses, humans, but even birds, dinosaurs, and fish. And their intelligence and way of thinking are all related to each other, sort of like those arm bones I showed. But octopi developed their intelligence completely independently from everything over here, like an alien from another planet, and that's why they're built just so differently from us. For example, they have twice as many neurons as a cat, but unlike all the animals over here where all the neurons are focused in the brain, in octopi only 1/3 of their neurons are in the brain, and the rest are in their arms, which means they not only smell and taste, but they can even think and act independently with their arms. That means that even if their arm is cut off, the arm can still camouflage itself to the surroundings by sensing light. It would be like closing your eyes, walking into a room, touching a wall, and having your hand match the color. Having 8 independent mini brains along with a larger central brain is as incomprehensible as alien intelligence to us. Now back at the maze, Sashimi had made it to the emergency button, putting her at the halfway mark. And as usual, she starts by having her arms do all the recon work. And it's almost like once she feels the red door, she figures out my trick, and then immediately pushes the button to drop the ball and open the gate to move on to my favorite obstacle, the fish out of water. And I was relieved to see that I had thrown her another curveball, because after quite a bit of exploratory arm expeditions, she realizes the only way forward is up and out. And so after psyching herself up, she just goes for it, sliding up, over, and eventually down. And this demonstrates another octopus superpower, because they can survive out of water for up to an hour, and as you can see here, it's one of the reasons they're such successful hunters in and around tide pools. And now that we're coming down the final stretch, I figured she deserved a bit of a snack break with the Medusa. And just like I hoped, once she saw the shrimp attached to the back, she starts chomping down with her beak. And since that's right at the center of all her legs, we get a couple different hair options for Fat Gus, starting first with a more
Oh, you need a pencil? No problem, I got you. Just a moment. Which one you want? This one? Here you go.
It's even better than a vacuum cleaner. A machine that irons and folds clothes is every person's dream.
Oh, wait a second, come on.
If you remember watching Shazam in the 90s with Sinbad, the actor, well, the movie never existed.
You all remember a movie called Shazam with Sinbad playing a genie? You know what? The movie was never real. It was, the rumor started in 2000. I don't know where it came from, but it's never happened.
Millions of people remember watching this movie, but it never existed. Apparently, it's a Mandela effect, a collective false memory of something that a lot of people remember, but it never happened. Just like, for instance, the Mandela effects of the Monopoly guy with the monocle, the Berenstein Bears with an E, and George the monkey with the tail. These things never happened, and The thing is, I recently found videos of people who actually have a VHS tape of the Shazam.
I still don't
movie.
understand the whole issue with this movie Shazam, with Sinbad.
If it never existed, how come a lot of people still have the VHS tape? Are we in a different timeline? Time travel? Parallel universe? What's going on?
Yeah, it never existed.
Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger. I found an original scene from the Shazam movie. In it, several Mandela effects.
What are you doing? Dad couldn't have thrown out all of Mom's stuff. He just couldn't have. James, there's gotta be something he forgot here. Something real we can remember her by.
George, the monkey with the tail. What?
Hey, we have our memories. They're real. No one can take that from us. Yeah. Clean this up. Can you imagine if Dad saw this mess?
Really well done.
Bless you. What is that?
Berenstein Bears with an E. What? Nelson Mandela died at 68. What?
Took you long enough, Tina? Wait, you're not Tina.
Kidnapper! Wait, you knew her, Mom?
To make me my own dinosaur.
Last but not least, Carmen Sandiego with a yellow suit. Why would someone leave so many Mandela effects inside of a movie that never existed? What is going on here? Time travel or what?
Do you believe that Bill Gates is really a philanthropist?
Bill Gates is not a philanthropist. He gives a little bit of money to take over entire sectors. The big seed banks are called the CJR system. He gives $1 million here, but he takes all the seeds of that system. All of these seed banks of the world he now controls by giving a tiny bit. But that's not where he stops. He then develops, promotes technologies for patenting. So he controls the seeds of the world. He finances the Svalbard Seed Bank. Then he creates patent systems. And he destroys the international system that controls the country's rights to their seed so that all the seeds of the world are his seeds. He cooked up a word which I had never heard before that called net zero. And he said we have to solve climate problems by net zero. It doesn't mean we get rid of emissions. He flies a private jet and has all the private jet services of the world. He says it doesn't mean we'll stop polluting. He says it just means we have to find other people's lands for offsets to absorb our pollution. So he bought all the land in America, but he wants our land for carbon offsets. And this is the net zero they're trying to push in the climate discussion.
What would an op be if we didn't arrest somebody that was employed by Disney?
It's the largest undercover human trafficking sting in Polk County history. More than 200 people are facing charges tonight, among them a local school athletic director and coach and a few Disney employees.
35 of the suspects arrested were in the United States illegally.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for being with us today as we talk about Operation Traffic Stop 2. This is the single largest undercover operation of its kind that we've worked in the history of the Sheriff's Office. First, I want to introduce you to Maria Guzman. She's here illegally. She's from Orlando. That's right, she's one of the human traffickers. You always think of the guys being human traffickers, but she is the one facing a first-degree felony charge, which is 30 years in prison. And then the second human trafficker that we've charged is from Chicago. Did I mention to you that he's here illegally? That's right. He's come here illegally to victimize people in the United States. Kenneth Green from Davenport. He works for Disney. He's a training coordinator. Then there's Marquise Nixon. Newsflash, he works for Disney. He works in security. And then there's Carlos Rote from Davenport. Newsflash, he works for Disney. He's a custodian. He's married. You know, I don't know what his wife thought about it, but Disney wasn't happy. Newsflash, Zachary Vu works at the Swan Hotel at Disney. The Swan is a separate entity, but it's on Disney property. Then there's Adam Trotter from Davenport. Adam's 31. He left his 1-year-old daughter at home by herself while he came to this location to have sex. Not really. He said the dog was watching the baby. Did you hear? Did you hear what I said? We interviewed the dog, and the dog said wolf. I guess that means yes in dog language. David Green's from Massachusetts. He's an air conditioner contractor. And he's a special kind of guy. He's 42 years of age, and he's divorced from his wife, and she lives in South Florida. But David, being the kind of wonderful dad he is, flew to South Florida to pick up his daughter because he wanted to celebrate her 15th birthday. So he brought her up to the attractions and promptly left her in the room while he went out to have sex. Here you go, daughter. You enjoyed television in a motel room in Central Florida. Dad's going to be gone for a while. So for his daughter's birthday, he celebrated by wanting to have sex. Now, we call ex-mom. You know, ex-spouses are sometimes difficult anyway. To say that she was angry would be an understatement. But she came and picked up the 15-year-old. Well, I'd like to wish the 15-year-old a happy birthday. For her birthday, we arrested her dad and put him in the jail. So that's where he spent the birthday weekend. Then there's Russell Rogers from Winter Haven. This is a now photo, okay? This is a photo of him in the county jail. He came to have sex. You want to see a before photo? This is Russ Rogers, the athletic director at Vanguard School. And he also is a teacher at Auburndale High School Real Academy. And he currently is not a head football coach, but a coach at Vanguard and Auburndale High. The interesting part, not only did he negotiate to have sex, he negotiated to have sex with a lady without protection. And then he's going to go home to his wife. We know historically a lot of these ladies have STDs. So was that a welcome home gift that he potentially could have given to his wife? Frank Bidark, he's from Claremont. This guy's just a freak. He wanted to do all kinds of nasty stuff. He's 76 years old. 76 years old. And he wanted to do a lot of nasty stuff. I want to go over the dumbest one that we've ever had. All right? This guy has marshmallows for brains. As he's coming to the op, we have to stop a car out in front of the undercover house. So there's the blue lights and the red lights. She immediately gets on the phone and says, "Don't come here, don't come here, the cops are out on the road." Wait. Well, he shows up to see the cops. In a few minutes, the undercover op texts him, "Come on in, I'm ready." You can't make this stuff up. The dude went in. He showed up. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? This guy, after watching the cops in the street, he showed up. I was there. I saw it. I shared with him the fact that Mister, I've watched hundreds of arrests. You win the trophy.
You gotta repent, sir, for murdering babies.
Why?
Because it's a sin before God.
Why?
Wow.
Stinky breath.
Yeah,
Why?
that's pretty evil of you, sir.
Yeah, I am.
And I hope and pray that you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you do to babies, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
You love it, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I hope that you come to Christ, sir.
Oh, I never go to Christ.
I hope that you come to Christ.
No,
sir.
I don't go to Christ.
Yeah, you.
I don't listen to Christ.
You will have a darkened heart, sir.
I do have a darkened heart. Yeah.
You have a darkened heart.
I do very, very much so.
And you will stand before God in judgment.
Yes,
day.
I will. Every day.
Have you guys seen the most recent Border Patrol footage? All I can say is this is bad. This is really, really bad.
As well, I'm gonna turn this around. Where are you from? Iran? 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 Okay. Like you can see, there's BP over there on their way to pick up more people. And the situation is developing out here. Be sure to keep it locked. That was a surprise to me. I didn't even know they're from Iran. Be sure to keep it locked. We're going to be broadcasting out here for the rest of the day. You don't want to miss this transmission. Ooh, it's getting ugly out here, guys. See you guys.
The size of the reflection you see of yourself on a mirror never changes size no matter what you do. Watch. Right now, you fit perfectly inside that rectangle. But if you come closer, you continue to always just fill that rectangle. And if you move really far away, like if you come all the way back here, guess what? You still just fit in that area. Oh, and guess what? The size of the image that you see of yourself on the surface of a mirror is always just, no matter where you stand, half of your actual size. Now this happens because the image that you see of yourself in a mirror appears to be just as far behind the mirror as you are in front of the mirror. So your reflection appears to be twice as far away as the mirror, no matter where you stand, making it always appear to be half the size you would be if you were actually at the mirror.
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
This video, because it looks like animation, like something that somebody made, but it's actually real footage from the space shuttle, just sped up just a little bit.
And this is a little video. It's about 4 minutes long here. So there's the space station. I love that this is not animation. This is film taken by a shuttle of the space station. And so this is real. It's not animation. Now, this looks like animation, and I'm very proud to know that it's actually real film. It's not a video game. People are living there. I know this looks like animation, but it's actually really real. I love this video because it looks like animation. It doesn't look real, but it is real.
People can watch all these fuck-ups and trickery by NASA and all these other space agencies, and all that goes out the window because they see a little light in the sky, and it's the ISS. Oh yeah, that's the ISS. That's all the proof they need, and everything else goes out the window.
The view will still be A-OK out there, and all you need to look for is a bright light in the sky that will be moving, and that'll be the space station.
I've seen the light go from horizon to horizon. There's many problems with that light. First, it's as bright as the sun. It's really bright. How is the ISS reflecting that light as bright as the sun back to me the whole way across? Is it made of mirrors? Is that mirror following me? Right? How would somebody 10 miles away see the same reflection because it can't reflect in all directions? It's going 17,500 miles an hour for 12 minutes. I could see it. So what is it? I was in communication with a NASA whistleblower, and he says that they have 5 B-2 bombers that they've remodified with some parts of them are transparent material with a thin metal struts that you really can't see. The bottom was overlaid with LEDs to match the color of the sun, and they use them in their base. 2 of them are in Alaska, and I forget where the other ones are, and they take turns doing these flybys.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in York County. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Are they in space or are they underwater? Now what's really interesting is that they train for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Now surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space, because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. It is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further. You have the power to start the conversation. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about, and the revitalization of Brevard County.
Flat Earthers pay attention. We're paying attention to NASA. We're paying attention to SpaceX. Most people aren't, but yet they'll defend it. They'll defend it. They have no idea the Earth's supposed radius. They don't know, they have no idea how far the sun is supposed to be according to NASA. 93 million. They don't know. Like, how far is the sun? Like, I don't know, a couple million miles. I don't know. They have no idea, but they're defending it to the death. You know, once you start paying attention and have an open mind, pay attention. Worst footage ever.
But we do want to make sure that the American people understand that there's no need to panic. The president took this action, as I mentioned earlier, because the objects were indeed flying at lower elevation, and they were in civilian airspace, and we wanted to make sure that we protected that airspace. But again, we want to also make sure that the Americans are not do not panic during this time.
Wait, what? It's on a balloon? Why is there a satellite on a balloon? It's always been that way. Flat Earthers have been talking about this for a long time.
One thing that isn't really discussed in the mainstream is that NASA, of course we know, spends more money on helium than anyone else in the world, and actually just upped their most recent contract to hundreds of millions of dollars for helium. And they admittedly launched balloons bigger than 1 to 2 football fields, and it's significantly more efficient for transmission of data, for weather compilation of data. They basically have a fleet of balloons above you that are facilitating the majority of the information that we utilize.
So why do you think NASA is the world's largest consumer of helium?
Why would they send up balloons, these satellites, on balloons if they're in magical floating space, in the magical floating vacuumless space? They're showing us. They're telling you right now. They're telling us in plain sight. Hey, look, satellites are on balloons. They're not in magical space.
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
And so they cleaned up all the homelessness. They took all the tents out and they put fences up everywhere so the people can't camp out anymore. We don't even know what they did with them.
I was just going to ask, what did they do with them?
See if you can find a video of it. It's crazy. And then you got Gavin Newsom on TV who's making excuses for it. He's like, yeah, we did. Well, when people come over to visit, you know, you clean your house up. Like, how about you fucking clean your house up?
Take care of it first.
All the time.
Yeah.
If you can do this now, you could do this always. I'm assuming you did something ethically responsible with those people and housed them and put them up somewhere. I'm hoping that's what you did. Did you just move their tent to the fucking middle of the desert or something? What have you done?
Before and after pictures.
Yeah. Insane. Well, this is just a couple of pictures, but the really wild ones are the fences. They put fences up everywhere so the people can't camp there anymore.
The troughs up right there.
What are the troughs for?
I don't know.
That's weird. What are those for? Troughs are weird. But they hose down all the streets. Like, hey guys, why don't you fucking do this all the time? Like, why isn't this always like this?
Yeah.
This is what San Francisco used to be like. You ruined it. Now we know that you could fix it and fix it quick.
Hey everyone, this is Steve, and I'm here in the shop and I'm trying out some new designs for some frequency wands, and I have an Ankh-shaped prototype here that I'm thinking about building, and I wanted to get your opinion. If you guys want to see an Ankh-shaped wand, I think it would look really cool, but I also, and the simple design looks really nice as well. This is our basic frequency wand, and this is an Ankh shape. But if you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments if you like the Ankh shape or if you have any other color ideas or design ideas. I'm looking to build another statement piece. So yeah, and if you have any questions about frequencies, you can contact Steve at frequencywave.com.
Titanic 2.0. Oh my God. Oh my. We hit some iceberg. We hit some ice. Oh my God. Oh my God. Whoa. Oh. Titanic 2.0.